back, everyone, to Not Qualified. This week, we are not qualified to talk about Midsummer.
Yay! And, so we figured we'd start with the most recent movie we've seen, which happens to be one we saw together, which was Midsummer. Joseph, what are your thoughts on Midsummer?
It was like a fairy tale.
It was just like had a fairy tale ending. So sweet.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly
like
Except
that.
I didn't feel warm and fuzzy like I do after Cinderella.
Kept me very interested.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
up until they started having sex. Then I dropped off.
Let me just say, it was very engaging up until 80% of the way through the movie, when there were 400% more body parts than I had seen. And some body parts that I had not seen in any movie ever. Anyway, so that was very... I could have done without that entire section. But as a concept, it was intriguing. It was well shot. It was well acted. So
was it Ari Aster who did that movie? So he also did Hereditary. Did you finish Hereditary?
I've not seen Hereditary.
You'd only seen like the middle, 45 minutes or whatever. I thought it was going to be a lot more like that. I get after watching it, this one was it was structured and told like an old school folklore fairy tale. I understand that. I figured it was going to be a lot more like Hereditary, with as far as the horror aspect of it goes. And should we warn with a spoiler if we're going to be talking about a movie? I feel like that's kind of like a given. Like, okay,
yeah, I guess so.
Spoiler alert. Warning. It's not even in the end of the movie. Whenever she starts tripping balls the first time, when they get to wherever, Switzerland, Sweden, wherever it is, and she takes drugs, and then she starts freaking out. She goes into the mirror, there's a face in the corner, then her eyes start freaking out. I thought it was going to be way more like that. Like, it was going to be like, the music is very tense.
Yeah.
She's going to be running from something. There's going to be something I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. But it didn't really meet any expectations. I didn't go in with any expectations, but it also was like, I didn't expect any of that. That was that movie was I wasn't expecting.
Didn't go anywhere I expected.
Not anywhere.
Also, it was interesting that. So okay, well, I liked how it didn't show anything. It showed everything from the character's point of view, so you don't see anything that the however many main characters don't see. So like. When people die or go missing, you assuming they're getting eaten or getting put in the meat pies or whatever, but you don't see that happen until it's happening to a character. Yeah. Which I thought was pretty cool. Like I said, there was some imagery in that movie that I could have done without. But
it was very with what it did give you, things that were shocking. It was very gratuitous with. And you haven't seen any of the Saw movies, right?
I've not seen a single Saw movie.
Everybody knows about Saw.
I've never seen Saw.
Somebody's going to get cut open, and it's just going to be like a gore fest.
Spoiler alert.
It's like that.
Yeah.
There's a part in the movie where...
Oh, you talking about Lung Man?
I forgot about Lung Man. I was going to say when they're jumping off the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
They jump off a cliff.
Two old people commit suicide. Spoiler alert. Sorry. If you haven't seen the movie, just don't watch this.
I figured that was kind of a given. I didn't really know. And then they beat the old man to death with the hammer after he survives the fall. I was like, that's awesome. I wasn't expecting a man's head to explode in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
But then it reverse explodes later.
Yeah.
He goes... and then there's also a scene where a man is alive and strung up with his lungs out of his back, like
whatever
wings.
It's called the eagle, Iron Eagle, whatever that old torture thing is. It was very gross.
Yeah.
He was being kept alive.
Anyway, so if you're squeamish, if you have nightmares easily.
If you're watching this with your parents.
If you're with your parents, with your family, with your kids. If you are convicted personally about like what you should be watching, don't watch this movie. If you're into really bright horror movies, watch it.
Yeah, the whole movie took place in the daytime, which is very unconventional. I thought that was really cool.
It's like Children of the Corn, except this was good. Children of the Corn was interesting. Anyway.
The whole thing took place in the daytime, but I think that's mostly for the regional specifics because of Sweden or wherever it is. Very neat movie. I think it was very well done. I like A24.
Yeah.
I just think they're a really solid production company.
Speaking of bright, Will Smith is not in this movie, as far as I know. Okay. Well, that was the most recent movie we've seen. our topic this week that we are not qualified to talk about is Samurai John Ford, Kurosawa, Tarantino, Leone, Star Wars.
Samurai.
We're going to talk about how I think Star Wars is a Western and why. Yeah. So, one of the most interesting things to me in cinema history is how, so one of the biggest genres of all time is the Western, biggest Hollywood genres. Yeah. And the biggest name in that genre is John Ford, of course, who made all the classic, Stagecoach, The Searchers, all these classic John Wayne Westerns. All the way back to the 30s and through the 60s. And so...
There was a good solid, 50-year period where they would just pump
Westerns. Those things out. Neither me or Joe have ever seen a John Ford movie, so we are not experts on that. But we have seen the aftermath of John Ford movies, as in what he inspired. So, oh gosh. Well, first of all, John Ford, fun fact, has the world record for most Oscar wins for Best Director. He's won 4 times.
Are they all for Westerns?
I think, no, I think one might have been for Grapes of Wrath. I could be wrong about that. But, yeah, and then Frank Capra, whose name is on the poster behind me, has 3. Anyway, that's a side note, but... All right, and then on a seemingly unrelated side of the world is Akira Kurosawa, Japanese filmmaker, very influential. Everybody cites him as an influence. Made films like Hidden Fortress, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai. Samurai movies, completely unrelated, right? Mm-hmm. Wrong. You're wrong, Joseph, and you're stupid for thinking that. Okay.
To be fair, I knew that going into the podcast.
He didn't know. So, Kurosawa was greatly inspired by John Ford westerns in a lot of his, samurai movies. And then, in turn, those Kurosawa movies inspired some of my favorite movies, some by one of my favorite directors, Sergio Leone. So, the Dollars trilogy. Mm-hmm. Fistful of Dollars is a direct remake of Yojimbo, just put in a different setting. And then it's a shot-for-shot remake almost. Seven Samurai turned into The Magnificent Seven, which is not a John Ford or Leone movie, but it's a classic Western. And so there was this back and forth constantly where these samurai movies influenced these American Westerns and vice versa, back and forth, all the way to today where you have Tarantino, whose greatest idol is Sergio Leone, and who's Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is, to him, the greatest film ever made, who takes influences from both of those people widely, as you can see in Django Unchained and Kill Bill. I mean, he's like a mishmash of everything. And then you have even weirder, what's that? What's the Japanese samurai Western movie starring Quentin Tarantino?
I know what you're talking
really
about.
Really weird one. It's just it's the most meta you can get. Anyway, so there's that whole thing. And the point I'm trying to make is that Star Wars fits right into that line of inspiration, because Star Wars is almost not a remake, but it takes its story from an Akira Kurosawa movie, Hidden Fortress. It's like the exact same story. And Star Wars shares a lot of the same traits that whole line of film does. So there's the rogue, the adventurous rogue, who's out just in it for money, but with a heart of gold, you know what I mean? There's the wise old sage, which it's also the hero's journey, of course, Joseph Campbell and whatever, but anyway, long story short, neither of us are qualified to really talk about folklore and stuff like that, but I would say that based on my limited knowledge and experience in the world, Star Wars is as much of a Western as Kill Bill is a samurai movie. I think Star Wars is closer to being a Western, for sure a fantasy, than it is to being a sci-fi movie at all. It's just the same way that Sergio Leone took those samurai stories and plopped them into a Western setting, in the same way that Akira Kurosawa took those Western settings or Western stories and put them into a samurai setting. George Lucas did the same thing and put it all onto a space setting. So that's my thesis. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Do you think John Ford, when he was making these movies, when he was in his heyday, filming all these films, that he would one day inspire a Western samurai high fantasy space opera?
In a very indirect way.
Yes.
Probably not. I also think John Ford was not aware of anything going on around him. I've seen so many interviews, just clips of interviews with him, because he didn't do many, where he is absolutely uninterested in the questions. He's uninterested in filmmaking as like an art. He's like, I did it to make money. Like, I think his last Oscar win, he didn't even show up. Like, John Wayne accepted for him. He just didn't care.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a baller, dude. Yeah. I love that guy. He smoked a ton of cigars. I mean, like, he would in the interviews you watch, he's like he'll get rid of one and immediately take out another and light it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
How yellow do you think his teeth were?
Oh, his teeth white as sheep, dipped in butter.
That's pretty yellow.
Yeah.
How long do you think? What was like the first, I guess, movie or TV show to break genre, like fully? Like, because what I have in mind is Firefly is a Western sci-fi.
Yes.
But those are two very opposite and sometimes completely contradictory genres of movies.
Yes.
What other TV shows?
Thank you for bringing that up. That's another thing that fits perfectly into this whole discussion. I love Firefly, and it is a Western sci-fi.
Yeah.
Before Firefly was my favorite TV show of all time, besides The Twilight Zone, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which rather than being a Western sci-fi is a sci-fi Western. Like, it's in a Western setting with elements of sci-fi, which is the opposite of Firefly. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what the first...
Because I really can't, like, whenever I think of movies or TV shows that, that fit both two sometimes contradictory genres, that's the first thing that comes to mind is Firefly.
Yeah.
But then you also have the masterpiece, Cowboys and Aliens. If you that.
Yeah.
Did you watched that, right?
Yeah, with Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
And there's a part where what is he, climbing up the alien ship and throwing grenades or something?
He's throwing
That's very
dynamite.
vague. Dynamite, yeah.
Our friend Noah, who is probably going to be on here soon, loves that movie to death.
I don't know why.
I don't know why. I really don't like that movie. Not that it's a bad movie. I mean, it is a bad... Yeah, I don't like the movie. So that's that.
Cabin in the Woods is a genre bender. I'm not going back that far. I'm just thinking of other genre bending movies. It's a horror comedy, but I mean that goes all the way back to Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And before. So, and no one's ever done it better than Evil Dead 2.
It's true.
But trying to think. I guess Ghostbusters is technically a genre bender because it's like horror comedy also. But it's completely different than Evil Dead or
that's
Cabin in the Woods.
Much more emphasis on the comedic aspect of it, especially because they have SNL along on there.
It's just an SNL movie.
Yeah. Which is a whole different
It's
category.
the 80s equivalent of a Will Ferrell movie today. Will Ferrell is like Step Brothers of the 80s.
Every time we bring up a movie, I don't know if we should talk about that movie.
Really?
We've mentioned like 6 movies at this point, and I always feel like we need to talk about them because of the movie podcast.
Go ahead, talk about Step Brothers.
Okay,
I can tell you
Step
want
Brothers.
to.
Step Brothers, I think not Kickstarted. I think probably 40-year-old version did that.
Yeah.
A whole wave of terrible comedy movies.
There's one man to thank for all this, and it's not Will Ferrell.
It's Judd freaking Apatow.
It's Judd Apatow. Oh my goodness. And you're right, 40-year-old version like started that whole trend of movies where nothing happens and there's no character development, but they're insanely quotable. And that is what makes them so successful.
Insanely quotable.
They're the most quotable dumb movies ever.
And they're hard not to enjoy. Like, you feel stupid watching them.
They make you feel 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like with doo-doo brain, but it's so fun.
But they have some of the most absurd writing in any film out there.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no clear story structure half the time.
No.
It's just funny thing after funny thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that modern comedy movies would be so dialogue heavy, but they are, except the downside is the dialogue is horrible.
I mean horrid.
Did you say holy?
I said horrid.
Horrid. They're just... it's gone downhill. 40-Year-Old Virgin was pretty funny. I
Yeah.
enjoy that movie. But the longer they go on, the worse the writing gets and the worse the jokes get. Mm-hmm. And it's people trying to jump on that train of the way those movies are written. I don't even know how you would stylize that kind of comedy movie. Modern comedy movies. When people try and jump on that train and then all of the jokes fall flat. Mm-hmm. I'm particularly talking about like Amy Schumer movies. Like, they're just not good. Like,
yeah,
really
or like
bad.
the new Ghostbusters.
The new
Melissa
Ghostbusters,
McCarthy movies.
yeah.
Paul Feig movies.
Yeah.
Did you see Last Christmas?
No, you
No,
talked about
it's
it.
so bad,
Would you like
dude.
to talk about that movie?
No. No, honestly, that might supplant my number 100. It's that bad. Last Christmas.
You talked about it a lot.
I'll talk about it. I can't express to you how bad that movie was. Like, you need to just watch it for these. I wish I hadn't told you the plot so that you could experience it for yourself.
I'm glad I did.
Because it is so... The twist doesn't even make sense. And it's such a completely bonkers, out there twist for a Christmas movie. I don't know how to explain it. And the first half of the movie gave no hint of that kind of thing. Maybe if the writing was better and the tone was better, you would expect something like that. But you go in expecting a Hallmark movie, and it's that, which could be done really well. Like, oh, I thought this was going to be a Hallmark cheesy movie, and turns out to have a really cool twist. That could be done really well if it was executed well and the acting wasn't cringy and the plot was actually made sense.
Weren't there weird subplots as well?
There were
Like
so many
grandma
subplots that
subplot?
never got followed on. Like it was just dumb.
I will watch Last Christmas because it does still interest me. I'll still go in watching it.
Yeah.
If you watch Serenity with me.
Okay, deal. Take on it. Yeah.
Movie. I'm going to talk about that movie real quick. What time are we at?
16 minutes. We're good.
Oh, okay, we're fine. Serenity. I only watched Serenity because in a Reddit comment thread, somebody had talked about how that plot twist was crazier than Last Christmas, which was already absurd. From what it sounds like, it is. I'm going to spoil this whole movie. So you follow Matthew McConaughey. He's a boat fisherman. And it opens up like, oh, he's chasing a tuna. It's the tuna. It's his Moby Dick. He's chasing this Moby Dick tuna that he has a rivalry with. And you're like, oh, he finally got it. He's kicking off these people. He's threatening the people on his boat. Like, get away from the fishing pole. I'm going to catch this tuna. And these people are paying him money. And then that's not what the movie's about at all. And his ex-wife shows up, and she's like, hey, I want you to go fishing and kill my husband to protect our son. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll do that. And then halfway through, probably like the 60% of the movie, the plot twist comes. And it's the whole time he's in a video game. He is the protagonist of a fishing video game. And how the movie wraps up is the son, the actual son of Matthew McConaughey's real life character, not the video game character, but the one that in real life, the kid's actual dad, died in Iraq. The mom remarried. The stepdad is abusive. He creates a game to vicariously murder his stepfather, but then he actually just murders his stepfather, and then that's how the movie ends. And then it ends with him running up to his dad on the dock and hugging. Like, I don't know if that's like some weird fantasy going on in his head, because I think he's in an asylum at the end of the movie.
Like Joker.
It was bizarre. I hated that movie.
It's the Joker of Netflix movie. Is it a Netflix movie? No, it's not.
No, it's just.
I'm not looking forward to watch that. Speaking of bad movies, we watched Tall Girl together recently, and oh boy, there are 3 movies I've now seen that are in the bottom 10. And that is...
It was produced by Mick G.
Mick G.
Which brought us one of the greatest television shows, Chuck. It's not as good as I thought it was.
It's still good.
It's still good.
We'll talk about
not
that.
as good as I remember.
We should do a whole episode on Chuck.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. So we watched Tall Girl, and it's just so bad. Like, it's hard to explain. The second Netflix original that's in the same category of god awful is The Kissing Booth, where it's just like, it's fun to watch and laugh at because it's so bad. And then by far the worst of the 3 I'm mentioning is a movie called F the Prom, written by those YouTube... They're the Coen brothers of YouTube, the Fine brothers. The Teens React series. They wrote that movie, and I think directed it. Anyway, those 3 movies are the trifecta of just poop.
There's also Netflix. I don't know. Netflix has been stepping up their game because all of the other streaming services, and especially because Disney Plus, because now all of Disney's movies, Marvel universe, the Star Wars universe, everything, any animated movie they've ever made, anything they've ever produced, is now on this whole platform. So they really have to step up their game to keep people hooked. They have to make original movies. They have to put a lot of grade A movies on their platform, even if they don't make them. But there was a good 3-year period where they made the worst shows and movies. It was horrible. There's like a whole... It's Noah... What's this? Noah Centineo, something like that. He's in like 5 or 6 of them.
Oh, yeah. The kid from F the Prom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's bad.
Yeah,
He's
and in the
bad.
kissing booth.
Probably. I don't know. But he was... Okay, he was actually in 2 movies on Netflix.
Noah
2 movies on Netflix about dating apps. Netflix made 2 movies with Noah Centineo.
Oh, Noah Centineo's not the guy I was thinking of.
Dating apps.
I don't think he's from the kissing booth.
He might have been.
He's from, The Perfect Date, To All the Boys I Loved Before.
He was in Swiped.
Swiped.
There was
Charlie's Angels.
like the new one.
Hold on.
I didn't watch it.
Charlie's Angels.
I don't think it was.
2019, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, not the kid I was... Who's the kid from the kissing booth? Like the main kid that's
Is
in
that
all
the?
those stupid
He
movies.
was in
Netflix
Super
movies.
8. I don't remember his name.
He was in Super 8, wasn't he?
Which is a very good movie. I highly enjoy.
Yeah, How the Mighty Have Fallen. Super 8 was so good.
We're gonna have to do a whole movie about directors, and Abrams is gonna. We're gonna talk about Abrams for probably 20
Joel
minutes.
Courtney is the kid's
Joel
name.
Courtney. What a...
Yes, Super 8, and then he went on to do The Kissing Booth and F the Prom. I mean, come on.
I really enjoy Super 8. It's a perfect mashup of Spielberg and Abrams.
Well, Abrams is just Spielberg, part 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say sci-fi Spielberg, but Spielberg already has that.
Spielberg
one
is the sci-fi Spielberg.
Spielberg
yeah.
is the greatest director to ever exist. I'm glad Netflix is stepping up their game though, because there was a good 3-year period where I couldn't stand to watch anything produced by Netflix.
They still have Breaking Bad, and they still have The Office for a year, so they're not dead yet.
And they have Friends right now, don't they?
Yes. Until next year, and then it comes off, but they get Seinfeld next year.
Hey.
So they're going to be alive for a while.
They need Fringe.
Fringe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fringe.
J. Abrams, again.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we didn't ever rank... We talked about Midsummer, but we were supposed to rank it.
Oh yeah,
So
that's part of the
between
reason
your
why
1 and 100, that's the whole format. Okay,
Yeah.
so Midsummer, your number 1, Empire Strikes Back.
Strikes
Your number 100, Delta Force.
Yeah.
Between 1 and 100, where do you put Midsummer?
I would. I'm trying to it wasn't a movie. I did enjoy the movie as far as cinematography and acting was superb.
Mm-hmm.
It was just there was a lot of shocking material.
It was to me, it was like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's like,
appreciated it, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it toward the end.
Yes,
and so that might affect my ranking. I put it lower.
Yes, as a movie, I did appreciate it. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
And I understand, it can have a lot of cultural significance.
Right.
But wow, I think I'm good on watching it for probably the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll probably, I'll say like 63.
Okay.
Like I did enjoy it, but
So you say it's in the bottom half as far as rewatch?
oh wait, I forgot. That's how we're doing
Should
it.
we flip it?
I don't know.
But because I feel like I did it the way I did because I'm like our number 1 movie.
Our number 1.
But then
movie.
the way we're doing it is like it's ranking out of 100.
Yeah.
So then it feels weird. But then I was kind of like, I don't know because I kind of want it to feel like it's our top 100 movies, but it's gonna be way more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know.
Okay, well let me because whenever I'm trying to rank it, I'm thinking about like a 1 through 10 scale rating, and then I place it somewhere along there. Except it's gonna be flipped.
Yeah.
So what? 40.
47.
I'd probably.
Wait, no, that would be 50. No, hold on. 37.
No, I'd probably put it around. Okay, Midsummer is on my list. I would say a 57.
That's close to mine. I was actually gonna say 63, which is what you said the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So about the same. I'd put somewhere near the 60 range for both of us.
Yeah, somewhere in 60.
Yeah, it's into my bottom half for sure, just because
Yeah.
of my personal shock level, and I could never watch this with anyone. You know what I mean?
It's not a movie I
But
watch.
it was well made.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
not a movie I would watch because I enjoy watching it.
Yeah, it's not a movie I put on to enjoy myself. Like it's not one of my
But I have to give it credit. It was very engaging.
Mm-hmm.
It was very well done.
Yes, very well acted too, and yeah. So I'm putting mine right around 63, 62.
Solid.
Dope.
Cool. What were we talking about before this? And we forgot to rank it.
We were talking about bad Netflix movie. You were glad Netflix
That's
is
right.
stepping up their game.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, see you next time.